Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Talk About Your Community, a LinkedIn live stream, and I'm your host, Todd Nilsson with Clocktower Advisors. I am so glad you're here. You've made it to Friday. Congratulations. And I hope you had an absolutely stunningly wonderful week. I know I did, had so many great things that were going on this week, from new client business to advancements with some of the project work I've been on, to participation in some really cool online events, including Superforum, which we're going to be talking about today with my friend Arik Johnson, as well as being a guest at the Symbiosis Institute, SIMC in India, and talking a little bit about building branded communities. So overall, super stimulating, fun week. Nice for this week in October as we're closing in on Halloween. If you celebrate Halloween, this is one of my favorite times of the year. I hope that you enjoy it, and you've got some big plans ahead, for the coming weekend. And we've got, just by way of bookkeeping, I've got another LinkedIn Live scheduled for next Friday. Again, I seem to be settling into a weekly cadence of Fridays, at least during this busy season of conferences and talks and such. My guest next Friday is going to be Donnie Weinstein, who you guys may know from the online community world. If you have not been living under a rock, Donnie is the senior director of customer community. I had to look at it to make sure I got it right, with Kaltura, and he's going to be my guest. He just finished his talk on the Super Forum by Higher Logic last week on building and scaling multi-language communities. So I'm very intrigued by that. I want to chat with him about that, whatever else happens to be on his mind. So please join me next Friday at 11 a.m. U.S. Central Time. I believe that's UTC +5 for those of you who are international. And we'll have a terrific, stimulating conversation that day as well. Right now, without further ado, I'm going to bring in my friend, Arik Johnson. Arik Johnson with Aurora WDC, co-founder. And Arik, it's been a big week for us. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I call these Big Finish Fridays because we have the engineering team call for what we're working on together on Friday mornings right away. And that's really the pivot point for me into my normal rhythm, which is about mid-afternoon on Fridays. I start really forgetting about business and, all that stuff and doing the family thing, feathering the nest, so to speak. So I go dark until about Sunday evening, and then I start to kind of reemerge, figure out the week ahead. So it's been a great week here too. And I've been looking forward to joining you here today again.
Likewise, man. Thank you so much. And it's so important. I'm glad you said that. I think we have to draw lines as far as where we will work and where we will not work. I know as I've gotten older, I get very jealous about my family time and not wanting to cut into that with work life stuff. And so being able to close the book and say it was a good week, work well done. Now I need to take time to recharge, and spend time with the people who are most important to me. I just think that's incredible. Kudos for being able to do that.
Well, I'm not Jewish, but I have many friends who are Jewish, and the concept of the Sabbath is a really, really important element in that rhythm. Sabbath means rhythm, and it means that you have rest.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
That there's rest built into your week, and that rest is precious to you. It's almost more important than the work is the rest. So
yeah, that's fantastic, man. Well, so I know we got about a half an hour here. I wanted to use this space for us to reflect a little bit about the conversations we had this week about on the Super Forums conference, which was a great conference, by the way. I don't know if you caught any of the other sessions. There were some other really good presenters that were out there.
I hope to look at some of the archives. I often do that with online events. Is I'll register for stuff. I'm in the 50% of people who register for everything and never show up, and sort of watch the playback after the fact. But that's time management more than anything.
I've gotten to be that way myself. It is. It's just a matter of having the time to do it. But yeah, I definitely go back through all the prior sessions. I try to look at the decks, and as I see things that are in there that really jump out at me, then I'll jump in and watch the sessions that seem to be most relevant. But Higher Logic, Vanilla did a really terrific job of putting that together this week. And of course, you and I talked about something that I don't know that anybody else really talked much about, which is sort of the rise of the technologies built around the blockchain, cryptocurrencies, non-fungible tokens, these things that I think are continuing to bubble up into popular culture now as a thing. And of course, you and I have been working on this now for about the past 8-9 months with 2 communities that we've been working through. And we presented about this at the Super Forum as a work in progress and sort of talking about some of the things that have been on our minds. How do you think the talk went?
Well, I think it went really well in spite of my, venue in the van down by the river, so to speak. And, for those who didn't tune in, I was in transit at the point at which I needed to get into that meeting. So I just pulled the van over and made the best of it, and it worked out fine.
It was amazing. Yeah, you had a great connection. I don't think there were any drops. And, that was, I was the one who had the technical difficulties. I had sort of this alien noise that came in the middle of my stream. And, I found out that it was a family member who was trying to FaceTime me at the same time.
Sure.
And I've never gotten a FaceTime on my mini Mac that's here. And so I had no idea what the noise was. I was like, what is this? I don't even know what's coming in.
Just when you think you've got it all figured out, we're still surprises will arise. But I thought it was a great, conversation and I thought it was a nice introduction to people who haven't encountered the whole tokenomics concept and what the implications are. And, I'll just say that I think the implications are centralization is dying. The notion of centralized authority, control, all of that sort of stuff. Distributed ledger technology makes centralization a handicap. And that's really the implications of the tokenomics phenomenon, is that the future is decentralized.
Mm-hmm. And so I wonder how that's going to work, because we think about these behemoths like Facebook, where I have my profile is there. They're hoovering up all of my personal information. Every time I post something, they add another tick to the box of weird stuff that Todd's interested in. And they're monetizing that. I mean, that's the deal. You're giving up some degree of your personal privacy and information in exchange for using this kind of a cool platform, arguably, that's out there. But now with blockchain, my identity is going to be my stuff, or sort of what I share. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I think Facebook even knows that. Mark Zuckerberg has appeared in front of Congress enough times that this whole rebranding that Facebook is doing right now, where they're going to pull the Google strategy of becoming Alphabet, and then Google becomes the service that Alphabet Corporation provides. Facebook's going to do something similar where, and the outage, the border domain protocol outage, whatever that was that happened, that dropped them about 3 weeks ago. That's a great example of the frailties of centralization. That is why Facebook will have to decentralize just like everybody else. Here's my prediction. I predict that Facebook's governance infrastructure in this rebranded parent holding company type entity, I think they'll be a decentralized structure. And I think the decentralized autonomous organization, I think Facebook might be the first publicly traded company that tries the DAO as their governance structure. It'll be very, very interesting to see how that emerges, but they're the ones who could make that mainstream. If Facebook can do it, you'll see every public corporation eventually adopt the DAO format because of the way it decentralizes governance. Because centralization is the chief frailty you'll see with scaled enterprises. And I pretend to be a businessman and a strategist and all that stuff. I'm a historian, and centralization makes you weak.
Yeah, but it's a vulnerability. It's a frailty. Yeah,
exactly.
As we've seen, it gets exploited. And no, I'm intrigued, because I think it's going to be a very disruptive time over the next couple of years, as this stuff becomes more and more difficult for the mainstream to ignore, or to pretend that things are going to go on as they have. Because I feel like we've had an awfully long period of time, like upwards of 20 years of social media platforms and these very centralized models of business and walled gardens of apps that I don't think it's going to stand. I think these things are going to change, they're going to disrupt, and it's going to upset an awful lot of marketing and monetization efforts. And there's going to be some churn around it, but it's going to be a good thing for us ultimately, where we end up.
Well, and socially, look what's happened since the pandemic hit 18 months ago or 19 months ago. What has happened to our cities? You've seen a deurbanization trend for the very first time in American history as people have started leaving the cities. The deurbanization is a decentralization phenomenon. People do not want to be warehoused in high-rise apartment buildings anymore, or at least, I won't say people because that's stereotyping. Many people are realizing the frailties of that lifestyle, and they're deciding to do what I did 10 years ago, which is to buy a farm and move to the countryside. I'm sitting on 40 acres that we very carefully curated the sunshine coming off of the land that direction, so that I'm not washed out here on this shot. But being able to sort of have room to garden, frankly, is something that I think we're going to see this in the next few years as well. We're going to see the value of farmland specifically really, really go up. The value of being out of the city and having your own infrastructure and control over your own supply chain. That's what it is really going to boil down to. If you haven't bought your Christmas presents yet, you might want to go ahead and take care of that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing the frailties of the supply chain too, a lack of resilience in those spaces. I'm with you, man, because my wife and I moved out of Milwaukee about four years ago now, and I'm not sorry that we made that move. We're now living in a small town, on the shores of Lake Michigan, as I often wave the flag of two rivers around here. But we also have some land, about 16 acres, not as many as you, man. I don't know how you take care of that much land.
I have a farmer who had 23 and a half acres of soybeans this last season.
Nice. But so we have an outdoor place that we retreat to, and what you're saying about building our own supply chains is so right. Like, we spend so much time building relationships with local farmers and farmers markets, so that we don't have to buy foods commercially. As much as possible, we try to stay away from all that. I know we're going a little afield from NFTs here and all of that, but anyway, it's fascinating to talk to you about this stuff. So I think with where we're going with these platforms, you and I have been working on a couple of communities. They're not in what I would call full launch. They're maybe in sort of a soft launch mode. At least one of them is in sort of a soft launch space right now, and they are what I would consider Web 2.0 kinds of communities at the moment that are making preparations to be more 3.0. Would you say that's a fair characterization? And maybe we should talk a little bit about those terms and what they mean.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And definitely, I would call them Web 2.5 ready.
Okay.
That's how I would describe it, is the tokenomics work, the Web 3.0 decentralized stuff that we've been experimenting with really over the summer. Summer 2021 was the crypto experiment. Operation White Aperture is my code name for my summer speculatory work that I do. Every summer I do something like that, and that's really where that fit. What we ended up with at the end was really a prototype for Kineticoin, and Kineticoin being the denomination of the tokens that we've experimented with, largely symbolized by Poap, proof of attendance protocol, and specifically with regard to the community in question, which I know you haven't mentioned, and I won't mention either until you decide to mention it. I don't think
I have no qualms mentioning it. No, it's a we exist community, and it is for professionals of color to dispel the talent myth and eliminate the wealth gap. And I think it's a very worthwhile, powerful community concept. Though I will call it a swift community concept, as I put into my newsletter today, and talking a bit about that. But absolutely, the idea there, or how we're thinking about using Poap, is to recognize and reward influence for people that attend those Wellness Check Wednesday webinars that we run. And that's a Batman level of alliteration that I've just dropped in there. But we've already done some successful proofs of concept for that, I would say, and been able to reward participants with the ability to claim an NFT, a token, if you will, that recognizes and rewards their attendance at an event.
Yep. Well, and I'll let you know that a couple of weeks ago, Poap.xyz, the work group behind Poap as a protocol, revealed that they've got some gaming of their system happening. There are initially humans, and now they've got some bots that are showing up in their blockchain, which are not actually attending things that they're getting Poap for in order to then use those Poap tokens fraudulently. And so they've made some changes and recalibrations to the protocol just in the last couple of weeks that have actually emphasized something to me, which is I think we're going to have to build our own infrastructure. And so that's my big push here in the fourth quarter, is to figure out what that is. It's probably not Ethereum blockchain, although we may prototype it on XDAI, which is a side chain, it's known as, of Ethereum blockchain. We'll probably build the production version on Hedera's Hashgraph, which is all based on this idea of, what do they call it? Decentralized acyclic graph, I think, the DAG, which is the operating principle underlying the hash graph, which differentiates it from the gossip-based technology that symbolizes a second generation blockchain like Ethereum. So anyway, I know there's a lot of, what do you call it, jargon.
This is the problem with so much of this space, that,
Right.
that all of these terms have had to be invented to describe what it is, and it represents a barrier that I think we need to break down.
No doubt. You called it a hard barrier the other day, is that it's abstract, and that nomenclature makes it difficult for people. No doubt. I think what will happen is we'll see these tokens becoming more commonplace. And as people realize the power of the tokens and what that power represents, they're going to realize that it's no longer a matter of privacy and identity. It's now a matter of anonymity. And that's how I would differentiate Web 2.0 and Web 3.0, by the way. And where we're at Web 2.5 is building the bridges between the identity management era, where privacy was the sacrifice that allowed you then to associate with people in social networks, and the Web 3.0 era, which is really the anonymity management era, where I can represent my personage through a persona that is described by the wallet collected tokens that I project into that context. So I might be a participant in a community of, professionals of color that are trying to close the prosperity gap by dispelling the, talent myth. And you may not know that it's Arik Johnson. You know that it's this wallet ID, and the tokens that are in that wallet represent my equity and authority to be able to speak into that context.
So can I share something about that bothers me a little bit? So, so one of the things I'm a little worried about is that, yeah, I like that idea of enabling anonymity within a space, but there are times I think being able to directly disclose my identity is valuable and important. I know that, as a matter of policy, Facebook has mandated that you have to use your actual name, although I know there are certainly ways around that, within a given online, within their platform. And sort of, it's almost been set up as a kind of an expectation that you're not anonymizing. In some online communities, absolutely, I can see the value of being anonymous. But in a lot of cases, like, I just want to show up as Todd, where I show up in the online community. Am I going to have that option using these platforms?
So that's the Web 2.0 world that we're going to have to navigate in Web 3.0, is the terms and conditions under which you decloak your alias.
Mhm.
And that verb decloak, obviously taken from Star Trek, but
Which I
the
love.
notion,
Thank you for that.
I got Darth Vader's over, where is he? Right there.
Yeah,
I don't have any Star Trek paraphernalia in my background, but I am also a Star Trek fan. The notion of decloaking your alias so that you will reveal your true identity, that is going to be a very surgical thing. Right now, think of it as a melee weapon versus a laser surgeon, instrument where you're able to, and it's all about control. That's really the bottom line. Web 3.0 is all about control of your personal information and putting users back in control of that. That's the implications really of Web 3.0, and it's inevitable that there is too much identity fraud, misinformation. I'll even call it hate speech if you want to, edit this out of the, redact those words. But there's so much vitriol in Web 2.0 these days. It has demonstrated for us that thing has jumped the shark, to use another early 1980s probably neologism.
That's a Happy Days reference. Yes.
All that. But the idea that it's jumped the shark, I don't think people want that anymore. And I think the number of people leaving Facebook, and a word about that, any woman who's ever been stalked by an ex will tell you exactly what you have to do to make sure your identity is protected on Facebook.
Mhm.
That's the example that I would use. That is the example that we'll all get used to in Web 3.0 sooner or later. Our kids are already getting used to it. And if you're a Discord is the place where you can see this happening. Discord is an element of that, and the ability to protect your identity in Discord is exactly what I'm driving at. That is going to be industrialized at whole new levels than we see today.
Yeah, I've had some very positive experiences in a number of Discord gaming communities, I think the way that they handle that, it's like it feels like a cooler version of Slack, really.
Yeah. I was on actually with somebody from Slack a few weeks ago, and I said, we were talking about Discord as a competitor, because that's what I do. I do competitive intelligence work and strategy. And we were talking about, have they seen Discord emerge as a competitor yet? And they said, well, we're watching them, but frankly, we don't think of them as doing the same thing. And I said, well, I'll tell you this. I created as many Discord account participations in the last 6 months as I did in the last 10 years of Slack. You might want to keep an eye on them, because I'm about as corporate as they come in terms of who I work with at the corporate level. And Discord is a threat. Slack.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Discord is neat because I think no matter what new whatever new Discord server I happen to join, I can tailor my identity based on what I want to see in there. Very cool. Very cool.
That'll be true of everything. And I think, our participation in communities will be based on the wallet and the tokens in that wallet we wish to project into that community. So if you think having one MetaMask wallet is enough to handle, wait till you have 100 of them, Todd.
Yeah, but I juggle probably 50 to 100 online identities right now anyways, with my logins, and I have to rebuild every freaking one whenever I go into a new platform, and I've got to sign up for it, upload the same avatar, upload a different avatar, what links do I want to include? How do I write my bio? All of that crap. Wallets making that more portable is a huge convenience, just that by itself. So I'm really intrigued by what that's going to look like. I wanted to give a quick shout out to my friend Amadou Diallo, who I celebrated International Community Day with. Good to see you, my friend, and thank you for shouting out to us here. We have high hopes for the We Exist community. And right now it's just based in the Milwaukee region in southeastern Wisconsin, but I think this can be national or international.
That's going to change soon. Yeah. That sneak preview is we're partnered with Business Journals Incorporated. They have 44 cities in the United States that they publish a business journal in, and Milwaukee is the city where it's starting because there's no other city in America that has more to gain. And that's where the movement is really beginning, specifically for We Exist. But as soon as they published that first spread about a month ago, they started getting phone calls from the other business journals around the country. So this is going to catch fire. And boy, wait till we show you the next SRC, stakeholder reconnaissance community. The next stakeholder reconnaissance community to come out will be just as exciting as We Exist.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, I think it's a powerful, swift community concept because it is based around surviving and thriving. If it's built around that and sort of something that's core to your identity, the chances of it really catching fire and being a powerful, fast growth kind of entity is there. And I see that at the core of this. And we're right now, we're like poised, the match is on the matchbook cover and we're just dragging it across the front here at the beginning. So it's an exciting time to be involved with the project. And I'm so very glad to be working with you, Arik.
Well, I'm grateful for your partnership, Todd, and direction and expertise and experience helping us figure out the engagement part of that. As we figure out the engineering part of it, the engineering part, I don't want to say the engineering part's easy, but the human part is the more nuanced. So can't wait to see what we do in the months ahead. And thank you for having me back on your community's stream here on LinkedIn. I appreciate it.
Anytime, my friend, anytime. And I hope you have a super enjoyable, relaxing weekend. And we have miles to go before we sleep, I think.
Amen to that. And
right.
As I'm winding down, peace, everybody. Feel free to connect with me here on LinkedIn if you like. Todd's got probably my details in the stream, but hope you all have a lovely weekend.
Absolutely. See you, Arik. See you, everybody. We'll be back next week, Friday at 11 a.m. U.S. Central Time. Take care.
Bye.